Yeah. All right, bet. It's Just Words podcast. My guest tonight. Not this. Wait, because I want you to look something up before I even get into this.
Okay.
So just get ready to start typing, Dan.
All right, bet.
She calls herself, or is known as, Cleveland's Olivia Pope. So I want you to pull up the picture I sent you of her.
Okay.
In the brown suit, and then I want you to pull up the black suit. I'm sorry, and then look, that's Olivia Pope, right?
Yeah.
All right, Cleveland's Olivia Pope. Rohnesha Horne.
There she go.
All right. Now, Rohnesha and I go way back.
Yeah.
I always got to throw shots at Shaw people whenever I can. Rohnesha is a heist tiger.
Yes.
Rohnesha is a state champion.
Yes.
Heist tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Rohnesha is a state record holding heist tiger. I sent you that one too. You can pull that up.
I got you.
And
Hey,
heist,
we love the female
look,
heist
I
tigers.
just gotta put
That's why y'all didn't like us. That's why you didn't like us.
You see that 1996? And in 96, she was probably what, a sophomore?
I was a freshman.
Fresh? Woo! Setting records as a freshman. Okay.
Yeah, I was a freshman.
You know, it's funny. If you go to Heights right now, you'll see a bunch of that with the ladies' names on it. You don't really see too many of those. Anyway, I digress. Rohnesha Horne,
Yeah.
Cleveland's Olivia Pope, marketing, public relations, NAACP executive. Oh, man. You worked in, how long did you work in, for another company, that is? How long did you work in media and entertainment?
So I worked for Radio 1 Cleveland for 12 years.
Okay.
When I left there, I was director of marketing. So it was a journey. I started as promotions assistant and worked up to director of marketing.
So now, I remember this because if those that don't know, I used to work in club promotions and stuff like that. So back in like 2007, 6, 7, we used to come down to the studios to shoot promos and stuff like that, and you was doing your thing. So I got a chance to follow your career and kind of see how you grew and blossomed into the person that you are today. But what got you into the marketing, PR, advertising? What got you into that realm?
I guess I would start by saying it was destiny. Okay. I remember I've always wanted to be a lawyer. That was all I could think about, growing up. That was my goal, my dreams in high school, my entire career, my entire life. I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I remember in 7th grade at Roxborough Middle School, we had to take a career assessment test, and it was based on your personality. Okay. And so based on my personality, the career assessment test came back marketing. Now in 7th grade, I didn't know what marketing was. Right. When you're growing up, you hear doctor, lawyer, that's it. Doctor, lawyer, that's it. And so I was devastated when I saw that the test came back marketing, because to me that was meaning that I wasn't good enough to be a lawyer. And so we took the test again in 8th grade, and I remember telling my mom about it. And she's like, "It's not a big deal. It's just a personality assessment test."
Change, you 12, 13.
Exactly. Right. And so I remember taking it again in 8th grade, and I lied on the career assessment test, trying to get to say lawyer. And it came. Well, I guess
lying would work for.
Definitely work.
Shout out to all the lawyers.
Like, my bad. You're a lawyer.
And it came back again, marketing. And so I couldn't even fake it, even with lying on the test. And so fast forward to college, I went to school, Cleveland State University, for public relations and journalism. Okay. And my goal then was to write for a paper, and I hated it. I really did not like it. I loved the PR part, but I didn't like the journalism part. And I just, life happened, and I was just kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. Okay. I ran into a person that I went to college with. I did write for the Cauldron for Cleveland State, and I did a story on the alphas on the campus. And one of the young men from the fraternity remembered, the PR work that I did for them, and was working for the radio station. And so he said, I'm working on this project with the radio station. Would you be interested in coming on board? Would you be interested in helping me, just doing some side work for me to kind of market and promote this client? Right. And so I was like, absolutely. Right. Like, it's a no-brainer. And so the project went so well that he went to the director of marketing at the time and said, "Hey, I know you're looking for an assistant. I got this girl, Rohnesha. She's, really good. Would you be willing to interview her, consider her for the position?" It was a full-time position, full-time with benefits at that.
Like right out the gate.
Out the gate. And so the director of marketing, she interviewed me at the time. And, she basically said to me, I think you are a sweet young lady. I think you have great writing samples, but, you're just not qualified for this job. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not how the story is supposed to go. It's supposed to be the happy ending. I'm supposed to get the job.
Where's the music? Where's the flowers?
So I just had this inkling, and I'm a woman of faith, and so for me, it was like I knew that God was going to give me that position. I just didn't know when or how. Okay. And so we interviewed, I think in October. And from that moment, I interviewed with her. I would run into her everywhere. I would run into her at the grocery store. I would run into her at the mall. I would run into her all kind of places. And I would be like, "Hey, boss." And she laughed. And she's like, "Hey," I'm like, "You ain't find nobody for that position yet, did you?" Right. And she hadn't. She had been interviewing people and had not found anybody to fill the position. I would see her all the time. And I knew it was a sign that I was going to get the job. I literally get a phone call back in January.
Now, how long was you said October?
October was first interview. So they called me back the end of January. And she says, "Okay, I'm going to give you a second chance, but I want you to interview with every single department head in the building." Woo. So the Department of Sales, Department of Programming, every single department that is in radio, I had to interview with the manager of that department, and they all liked me. And at the end, the general manager walked into her office. I was behind the door. He didn't know I was in the office, and he said, "Hire her today." Wow. And he was a big Ohio State fan, and we just talked sports the whole time. He found out I was a state champion, and I ran track, and he was sold after that. So she hired me, and I got the position there as assistant marketing director. That was the title at the time. And a year and a half later, I was in her position.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
And I'll say this. For her to have the self-awareness to bring you even in for that second opportunity and say to herself, "You know what? Let me let these other people put eyes on you because maybe there's something I'm missing. There's something there." And to come back, that was definitely meant to be.
Yes.
So now obviously, to bring you where you are today, you're a full-time entrepreneur.
Yes.
Working for yourself.
Yes.
In PR.
Yes.
In marketing. All right. So marketing, branding. All right. You're not going to embarrass me on my radio show. I asked you when you first got in here, is it Rohnesha or Rohnesha? Because I heard it one way growing up. I hear it a different way now. And you said Rohnesha, and then you just called yourself Rohnesha. Yeah. You're not going to do that to me because then it makes it look like I didn't do my homework.
They're both right. They're both right.
But I need the people to know
that
the way I said it.
Yes, correct.
I did check with you before we started. I did my homework. You're not going to make me look bad.
Anybody that has grown up with me will say my name is Rohnesha. And the reason is because my mother meant for my name to be Rohnesha.
Okay.
And so she taught me it was Rohnesha, even though on the birth certificate it says Rohnesha. She never changed it.
Old black people moment.
Right.
I've been hearing these type of stories a lot now.
Yeah.
This happened to one of my LBs. For those of you PWIs and GDIs that don't know, that's one of my line brothers, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. The name on his birth certificate is different than what his mother was calling him his whole life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't caught until it was either like he was going to register for high school or going to get a job or something. And they needed to see his birth certificate. And the names didn't match. And I know somebody else with the same thing. And it wasn't caught until they were going to college because the transcripts didn't match the name that was on his application.
Yeah.
Is it just going through birth? Is it the drugs?
Yeah.
Why we writing names wrong on birth certificates?
I honestly have no clue.
Now, and you haven't gone to get it changed?
No, I say with it because I felt like by the time I was going to high school, somehow the boys basketball team found out my name was Rohnesha, and they all start calling me Ro. That's when Ro was.
And see, I remember here. Okay,
so Ro just sense. At first got introduced. I think either my junior or senior year.
Okay.
Before that, it was Rohnesha. And so I was told to spell my name with the A. My mother it's not. And so I looked at my birth certificate. I said, Mom, why are you telling me that my name is Rohnesha and it's Rohnesha? She said, that's what it was supposed to be. And them people put that O there and it's supposed to be an A. I said, them people, but you never went to change it. So, she just didn't. And so, I said, I'm going to go by Rohnesha because that's what my birth certificate says. And I felt like it was a little bit more like,
It sets you apart. Yeah.
It was more
East
Cleveland. It was more East Cleveland. It was in their soul.
I do have an East Cleveland. East Cleveland story.
You ain't get shot at or nothing, did you?
No.
Oh, robbed?
No.
Okay.
I
was thinking of stories.
I lived in East Cleveland. I actually went to Mayfair.
Mm-hmm. Oh. You a transplant too?
I came to Cleveland Heights in 8th grade, so. Yeah, I lived in 3rd grade.
So my sister,
3rd grade. I'm sorry,
okay.
3rd grade.
My sister's a transplant.
Yeah.
And I always like to tell the story. My sister's 4 years older than me. So my parents had my sister. She was in East Cleveland, daycare, everything. This, that, and the third. I like to think that this is how this went. My parents were just fine being in East Cleveland. And then I was born. And my father said, nah, fuck that. I can't raise my son in East Cleveland.
Oh, my goodness.
So we got to do better for my son.
Yeah.
And that's when they moved to Cleveland Heights.
Yeah.
Was for me because, the first child is usually a mistake anyway. And I always like to let my sister know that. They was only married a year. They was happy. They was in love. Boom. My sister. Yeah. 4 years later, I was clearly planned. Because at that point in time.
They was making good choices at that point.
Yeah, at that point in time. And then after me, they stopped. Okay. So they figured they got it right. They moved to Cleveland Heights. My sister's a transplant. I was born and raised in Cleveland Heights. I didn't move until I went to college.
Yeah.
So I'm a Tiger through and through. But tell me about how the things that you did, not just in Radio 1, but in your life building up to that, have helped and prepare you for what it is you're doing now, working for yourself. Because it's always harder. Because now you got to grind and find clients. Ain't nobody coming in buying radio time and need this promoted or that promoted. Everything is on you now. And being an entrepreneur, I know what that looks like. But, let the people know kind of how the things that you did prepared you for the person and the successes that you're seeing now.
Absolutely. That's an amazing question. Thank you for asking that question.
Look at that public and you can't ask her who wrote it because
I feel good for you. I was like, damn, you're a good
guy. When y'all see athletes and they be giving them canned answers, it's people like this.
I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I will say that it started with sports. It started with the discipline of track. We ran track all year round at Cleveland Heights. It was indoor season. It was outdoor season. It was summer track and cross country, AAU. Like we practiced almost every day, and it was always competitive.
Yeah, I showed up for one of Coach Holland's fall practices, and I never showed up again.
It's insane.
I'm a football player. I ran track to stay in shape. This is not for me, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
we had college workouts in high school. We had incredible coaches, and we had incredible talent. And so the talent that was surrounding me drove me to be, great. And so I kind of just always carried that with me. I've always had a competitive spirit. I've always wanted to be the best. I was a winner early in life, and so I always wanted to win, no matter what. And so taking my sports background into my retail background. So a lot of people don't know I did not go straight to college from high school.
Okay.
I was injured in track.
I remember discussing that.
Pull one hamstring.
Tell the people a little bit about that. Give them a backstory.
Yeah, so my junior year of running track, so again, we had no seasons off. And so my body was pretty torn up. And so my hamstrings, strongest muscle in my body, and me, I was always kind of cheating in the weight room.
Okay.
So I was that talent, like I got speed, I don't really got to do too much on
Right.
And so that, not stretching after every practice, and those things started to catch up with me after a couple years of doing it. And so, I tore one hamstring, strained the other one. I remember my junior year, we were at regionals, and I pulled up the week before states. And it was a horrible way that my track career ended. I did not run my senior year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was very hurt and angry and kind of just confused as to why all these things were happening to me. So I got a job. Cause I'm a worker. Right. That's what I do. And so I got a job at Beechwood Mall at the Gap at 16 years old, and I was there for 10 years. And so in Gap, I excelled. Like, I thought I was going to do retail the rest of my life. I loved it there. I learned visual merchandising. I learned floor plans. I learned selling. I learned inventory. I learned stock. I learned everything there was to learn about retail. And that taught me customer service. It taught me how to engage with someone, how to have a conversation with them and sell to them. I learned sales there. So you have the discipline of the sports world, and you have the learning how to engage with people, learning people behavior, learning how to listen to what they're not saying, learning how to read people. It's a natural gift that I had, but I kind of cultivated it in that retail space. And then immediately after retail, I went into radio. And radio is where I learned the foundation of how to plan and put together a concert, but not just plan and put together Summer Jam, how to sell Summer Jam and bring the company $500,000, how to look for artists.
Can you sell the podcast?
Yes. We'll have a conversation.
We'll talk after the show.
The podcast was the Wild Wild West.
Numbers.
She could be the queen of the podcast game. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So Summer Jam.
Yeah.
So in putting that together, and Summer Jam is huge in Cleveland.
Yes, absolutely.
Promoting it,
marketing it, planning it, absolutely, selling it. That's a major part for events, is not only to be able to produce the event, but to sell it in a way that ticket sales you don't even think about.
Right.
I learned all of that there. I learned business etiquette there. I learned how to sit in a meeting, how to dress in the office, all those different things.
So you got all of this from real world experience.
Absolutely.
And not in a classroom.
I have a high school diploma. I do not have a college degree.
Okay.
And so it was hard work and dedication, just really believing in myself and, getting there early, staying late, everything that I learned in sports, I applied to my work at Radio 1, which is how I was able to be promoted and reach that position.
So I never realized, because you're a few years behind me, and when you see freshmen state champions, I just knew you went and ran track at Ohio State and whatever. I didn't play football my senior year.
I didn't know that.
I wasn't injured. I was ineligible because I wasn't handling my business.
Okay.
But I understand what that pain feels like. You were talking about the test that you took and it came back marketing, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't play football my senior year, we had a program. I'm sure you remember Mo, our athletic trainer, right? Mm-hmm. You remember we had student trainers?
Yeah.
I was a student trainer because that allowed me to still be part of the football team. So the guys that were my teammates, the guys that I bled and sweat with, I'm now taping their ankles, their wrists, and patching up their blood and, everything just to be a part of the team.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking back, and I had totally forgot that I wrote this. I'm looking back at my senior book, and it said, what do you want to be? Number 1 was lawyer. Number 2 was athletic trainer.
Wow.
Now, what I do now as a personal trainer and as a group fitness instructor and owning a gym is different, but it's still in that same realm of what I wanted to do. Now, I eventually graduated college with an associate's just because I wanted my parents to see me cross that stage. But that didn't happen until 2013. When I graduated high school, I got a job in retail. And unlike Rohnesha, I didn't have the success to lean back on growing up. We went 4-6 my freshman year. We went 0-10 my sophomore year.
Oh, no.
We went 5-5 my junior year. And then my senior year, when we were one game away from winning the LA and go to the playoffs, I wasn't even playing. But I knew I had the talent, and I knew I wanted to play ball. And I knew there were schools that were recruiting me and this, that, and the third. So My best friend Jimmy played football at the University of Akron. So I reached out to Jimmy. He told the coaches, they brought me down for a preferred walk-on, whatever that means. You still got to go through all the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I got invited to the football team at the University of Akron. Guess what sidelined my college career?
What?
My hamstrings.
Wow.
My hamstrings. I would have never known
we have a very similar story. Yeah, in common. Absolutely.
So now my father paid my rent for one. He said, you got 1 year. So he paid my rent for 1 year for me to try and make this work in college with football. But my hamstrings let me down. And as a walk-on, not being on scholarship, anyone that knows this, even if you're a scholarship athlete, those scholarships are year to year.
Yeah.
The only school in Division I that offers full 4-year signed contract scholarships is Northwestern.
Wow.
As soon as you get to Northwestern, you got 4 years, no matter what happens to you.
Yeah.
Every other school is year to year. So after that first year, I had to get a job. So I got a job in retail. And my friends called me Al Bundy because I worked in women's shoes.
Oh, my God.
I was a former football player selling women's shoes. I did that at JCPenney.
Wow.
And that's where I learned now. I always knew how to speak and talk to people and things of that nature, but I knew how to hone that. And I always had a drive to win, even though I didn't have the world-class winning background that you did. I never liked losing. It didn't feel good.
Right.
But I always made it my goal to be the best at what I did. Yeah. So I made it another year in Akron, working full-time before I eventually flamed out of school because I wasn't playing ball. Moved back to Cleveland and got a job at Best Buy in retail, and that's where my career really took off. Yeah. They hired me. I was delivering pizzas. And the only reason I got the job at Best Buy is because I wanted the discount to get TVs and stuff for my house.
I can't.
So I worked 2 days a week. I was so good. Within 6 months, I was a supervisor. 6 months after that, I was a manager. So very similar within a year and a half.
Yeah, moving up.
And then my career, went to the point where I became executive in retail, managing 3-state territory for a cell phone company before I left to start working full-time as an entrepreneur. So I can understand and respect the grind that it probably had to take for you to get to where you are. I sat in an interview and had the interviewing manager tell me, that was a great interview, but I don't think you're the right person for this position because I didn't have a degree. Yeah. Now, this was 24-year-old arrogant, 24-year-old arrogant Ben. My response in email to that manager was, you have LeBron James on your team and you're trying to keep him on the bench.
Wow.
Like, real talk.
Wow.
That was my response. Yeah. I wrote that and sent it to somebody. And 6 months later, he was replaced and the next person came in and I got a job and I was successful.
Absolutely.
But I never knew that our stories were so similar. And now it makes sense why you're successful as you are. Because those ups and downs, you talked about being a winner and never wanting to lose, but I guarantee you, not running track your senior year, having to get a job right out of high school. You spoke about the winning, those things. Tell me more about those things and how they developed you in the person and the drive that you have.
Yeah. For me, it was, I don't know if it was just a confidence that I had, even though I wasn't running track. Don't get me wrong, I was extremely depressed. But I had to find a way to pull myself out of it. And when I got to the Gap, I was successful and it built me back up. Okay. I didn't expect that. I didn't know what to expect when I went to the Gap. For me, I just wanted to work. I just wanted to, if I'm not gonna be running track, then I'm gonna work. That was just my thought. Single parent home because my father passed away, and so it was my mom and my younger brother and sister. And so for me, I wanted to always, excuse me, I wanted to always contribute. Okay. And so for me, if I'm not bringing you trophies home, I'm gonna bring you paychecks home. It was just, that's just the kind of kid I was. Okay. And so when I saw how successful I was at Gap and how easy it was to sell, and I'm getting all this praise and I'm getting awards there. Right. And I'm like, this feels like state championship.
Get that dopamine,
yeah.
those releases
yes.
into your system, yeah.
And I wanted to learn more and I wanted to be better. And I didn't realize how much I was gonna love it. I really didn't. I just knew that I wasn't gonna do fast food. I wanted to do clothes because I liked fashion.
Right.
You know, I was always into fashion. I was always into like classic styles, and I think that's a part of that name they gave me, which is Olivia Pope. It's part of it's the fashion, the look,
it makes sense.
And then the results. But in those years, those were years of loss. Those were years where I had to take time and reflect. You know, I graduated from high school to 1.76 GPA. So I was not doing my schoolwork. You know, for me, I was very arrogant, you know, playing dealer player of the week multiple times, state champion. You know, I just walk into my house and my mother be at the door and I just throw my trophies in her hand and just go and get in the bed. Like for me, I was just like, this is nothing. This is so easy.
Right.
So it humbled me. I learned humility. I learned that I do have to work hard. I have to pair hard work with talent, which is what I did not do in high school. And so I think when you have raw talent and you add hard work with it, you're unstoppable. And so at that point at Gap, I did do that. I took the hard work and I took the talent and I made it work for me. You know, when I left Gap, I had $10,000 in retirement. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and most people hadn't even got jobs yet.
In their life, yeah.
Exactly. They were still, you know, in school or whatever. And so I was full-time with benefits at 18 years old. And so negotiating pay and raises and, you know, Gap, you know, they talk about me through corporate, you know, like, who is this girl? She's selling all this clothes. She's doing this. She's opening up Gap credit cards, you know. But it took me to go through a season of humility. And that senior year and those years before I started school, I didn't start school till I was 20.
Okay.
But I was mature then, and I was getting A's when I was going back to school.
So I do have a question about that, though, because even at 20, well, first two things. One, have you ever done boxing?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know if y'all caught the jab. You know how you give a good jab on your way out after an exchange? She was like, yeah, it's the fashion and the results. It was like, don't leave.
The results was heavy.
Don't leave the results. Don't leave the results on the table. She was like, it ain't just the look. You know, bam, take that with you.
I get it done too.
But the second question, now 20 is still young.
20 is young.
Why? You're at Cleveland State. They have a track team. Did you not?
They do not have a track team.
They don't have a track team.
No.
Just cross country?
Just cross country.
Wow.
Yeah.
They got that gorgeous track they don't even use.
I would tell you, I would go to the athletic department like, y'all sure this year was not going to be track? Because I would have run again.
Okay.
But no, didn't have a track team at Cleveland State. And so
I always thought they had a track
team. Yeah. And so there I became disciplined in my studies.
Okay.
And so life kind of really changed in college, you know, working full time still. I did not have a car. I didn't get my license till I was 24. So I caught the bus everywhere. So I was on foot, catching the bus, working full time and going to school full time.
So if there's any kids that's listening, because this generation is different, how did you get around?
The bus. I got the bus. I got the bus.
That's like a novel idea. For today's, you know what's funny? They'd be like, I don't want my kid catching the bus. It's dangerous. Let me call him an Uber and put him in a car with this stranger. Wait, what?
No, yeah.
Like,
I'd much rather be on the bus. Absolutely.
I grew up on the bus.
Yeah.
I traveled on the bus. Before I got a car, I would catch the bus from Akron back to Cleveland. So I was a bus baby. I completely understand that. So, okay, now we're at Cleveland State.
Yeah.
We working full time.
Yeah.
We catching the bus.
Yes.
We still working at the Gap.
Yeah.
All right. So you did that for 12 years?
I did. No, because I wasn't in radio yet. I did Gap for 10 years.
Okay. So you worked in radio for 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did the Gap for 10 years and you went immediately from there into Radio 1.
Probably about 8 months. It was about 8 months of a break.
So tell me about your experience coming in and making the transition, not with the job itself, but a young woman doesn't have a degree, even though you're working for Radio 1, which is, you know, a black company, you're still a black woman in this industry. What was your experience like in your time, growth, and, you know, just every day walking through those halls?
It was like I had favor.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because I was just protected. And I know that kind of sounds crazy, but I knew that I was supposed to be there, and I knew it was God ordained that I was supposed to be there. And I knew I was a vessel. I knew that God was going to use me in that position. I actually said a prayer to the Lord that once he puts me in the position, that I was going to use it to help others. Okay. And so that started my legacy of building, of my part of building Radio 1. So when I got in the door, Steph Floss was not on the radio. K Nice was not on the radio. These are people that...
Yeah, Steph Floss was kicking my butt every Sunday night down at the View. we was at the Spot Bar, and we would drive past every Sunday. Like, how the hell they keep...
Yeah.
Can we get... Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, DJ Ryan Wolf didn't exist yet. And so these are persons and personalities that I was able to get hired at the radio station and then help them become... cultivate, who they were, it was just a different time back then, because Z1079 at that point was really whack. Like, we didn't really listen to the radio station. I'm serious.
I didn't say nothing.
The station was whack, and all the cool DJs were not on the radio.
Right.
And so you had 8081, you had DJ Steph Floss, you had the Varsity Squad, you had K Nice. They were not on the radio.
That's true.
And so when I came in, we had a new program director starting, Kobe Kobe. Shouts out to Kobe Kobe. If you guys do not know who Kobe Kobe is, he is a radio legend. Yep. He is the one who broke Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, the first one to play his music on the radio. He broke Kanye West. He broke Chris Brown. He is now vice president of Radio 1 Corporate. So that is my father in the industry. He is the one who promoted me, who raised me, who taught me what I need to know about being a director of marketing. And so I give all props to Kobe Kobe. And so Kobe Kobe came to Cleveland and sat down with Clevelanders and talked to us and interviewed us and surveyed us and said, what are we missing? What don't we have? Who needs to be on the station? I had a whole list. We need Steph Floss. We need K Nice.
Remember when that change happened?
Oh,
man, because somebody went down to Cincinnati. I forget who the program director was before that.
Kim Johnson.
Okay.
It was Kim Johnson.
Okay.
From and she was, on 93.1.
Right.
Yeah. So when Kim Johnson exited, Kobe Kobe came in and he turned the station around. He brought us Summer Jam.
Well, because and there's a generational gap there.
And so I was that bridge. And so Kobe asked me, how is it that we don't have a relationship with LeBron? I said, well, previous management insulted him, we got to make it right. He's like, well, do you know these people? I'm like, yeah, I grew up with Kelt and, what I'm saying, Mill. Right. And so I'm at LRMR, with 8081 trying to broker a deal. Like, can we build a relationship? And so I was that behind the scenes person, that Olivia Pope, that people don't know these conversations are happening. Or, when I first met DJ Ryan Wolf, he didn't have a name and he was just starting with Ray Jr. and trying to become a DJ. And I'm like, we got to come up with a name for you. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, you got the beard thing going. What about Wolf? You like Ryan Wolf? He's like, no, that's terrible. It's horrible. I hate it. And now look at him. He's the Cleveland Browns DJ. Yeah. He's got Wolfie White. He's got all these different who's that DJing like that, the Wolf products. But it's because the name is marketable, and that's a name that I gave him. And so these are the things, this type of stories like behind the scenes that I was able to do. But I knew that I was there for that reason. I knew I was there to help people. I knew I was there to put people in position. I knew I was there to name people, to give them their shine and push them in the forefront and be that behind the scenes.
For those that don't know, you pull up, I'm sure people know, but I got people that listen all over the country. DJ Steph Floss, DJ Ryan Wolf, some of the folks that she talking about.
Got you.
So we got the doors open. We kind of looking behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Now, again, I spoke about traveling a lot for work. I have an issue with Cleveland radio. Mm-hmm. No matter what other city I go to, they have an R&B station. Mm-hmm. They have a contemporary hip hop station. And they have an old school hip. Where is Cleveland's old school for us? Where is our hip hop? Not a hip hop station where you gonna hear 21 Savage followed by Jay-Z. Right. We want 21 Savage to have his station, and we want Jay-Z to have his station. Why does Cleveland not having old school. I don't hear no Fugees on the radio.
Nobody can.
I don't hear no Redman on the radio.
Well, someone has to start that radio station.
Okay.
We only have one urban radio station in Cleveland, and that's Radio 1. And
right,
so,
that's what I mean. Well, in other markets, Radio 1 has some of those stations.
But those stations were already probably there, and they flipped the formats.
Got it.
And so, if we were to,
you're talking about buying the airway.
Yeah, we would have to buy another dial position. So the ratings are what they are, and when I was there, the ratings were excellent,
right?
And it was because of we have 93 and we have 079. People just flip back and forth between those two.
And that's the thing.
We didn't have any other competition. In other markets, there are multiple urban stations. In other markets, there are 5 urban stations.
Indianapolis.
But Cleveland is majority white. And so there's not going to be urban stations in Cleveland because they're going to have Q104. They're going to have, KISS. They're going to have... they're going to have just their country music or their rock stations. You're not going to find another urban station unless another African-American comes into Cleveland and has the capital to be able to buy it. But the formats in Cleveland are doing well. If they weren't doing well, then they would consider flipping them.
Right. And see, this is where my question kind of stems from because, and I don't know if you remember because I am just a little older than you. We used to have 93.1 and 108, and they were both urban R&B stations going at the same time. Now 108 eventually went away. 93.1 became the station, but they were playing. They were competition. Competition breeds growth, and I just feel like,
Question real quick: would 93 be considered like an old school station at this point?
They don't play old school.
But you play more R&B.
Yeah,
you'll hear hip hop. So you'll hear
you mean like DMX, reasonable doubt,
Jay-Z. If you go to
Jay-Z.
Indianapolis, 102.9 is old school hip hop. Your stuff I named, you're getting Redman. You're getting Busta Rhymes. You're getting Jay-Z. Like that's what you're getting all day, every day. When you go to Chicago, 104.1, you are getting old school hip hop. Indianapolis is one of those ones. It's got 5. Because iHeartRadio has 3,
right?
And then Radio 1 has 2. They've got 5 urban stations. Chicago has like 6, because iHeart has a bunch, and then Radio 1 has them. So
3.
it's just in Cleveland we just have.
We're not
even in Kentucky. I'm talking about Louisville, Kentucky has an old school hip hop station, and Cleveland doesn't.
I think
When's the last time you heard Bone on the radio in Cleveland?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every month. Every month is the first of the month.
Right, that's it. Like, but real talk though, you don't hear.
There's been no innovation, man.
It's weird. No, we need somebody to come in and do it. We need somebody to come in and do it.
Okay. If anybody, we're gonna start opening up for some questions before we get out of here. If anybody has any questions for Rohnesha, please shout those out right now on Instagram. I guess my last question for you is kind of, what ventures are you working on now? What does the immediate future look like? What is the brand? What is the company? And what you got going on now?
Yeah, so my company is RH Event Planning and Consulting, and it's a consulting firm. I basically meet with companies, I meet with artists, and I meet with athletes, and I consult them. So I tell them what they need to do to brand themselves, to get PR, marketing, whatever they need, and I do concert production. So that's mostly what people see me touring. I just recently, my last show I did was in DC with Nas for the Collective, and so my first shows that I did when I first started my company were with Common. I did Common in Miami and Philly for the Get Out the Vote tours. Then I did 7 drive-in concerts with Black Voters Matter in Georgia. So I was in Georgia for about 2 months because they were trying to turn Georgia blue.
So were they drive-in due to COVID restrictions?
Yes, they were driving due to COVID restrictions.
But Georgia wasn't closed.
No, Georgia was wide open.
So y'all
exactly.
Okay, I'm like.
So we weren't liable.
Georgia.
So I basically.
Because we did shows in Georgia, and never mind.
So I basically opened up my company with 9 concerts, which was huge. And I've never done concerts outside of Cleveland, so I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any connections. But literally put on the ground in foreign land and made it happen. And so that just led to more and more opportunities, which led to the Nas concert, which led to touring. I've been on the road with the Funny Money College tour with Big Tigger and B. Simone, with Wells Fargo. Still have 2 more dates for that.
Can you call them about my work? No, you got some people at Wells Fargo?
No, I don't know. Still have 2 more dates for that this year. Next year, planning a couple tours and some conferences. So 2022 is looking to be pretty busy. All-Star Weekend. So the phone is ringing.
How can people reach you? Those that are listening now, it'll be up on YouTube in the actual episode, so everybody will be able to see it on there. Yeah. But for those listening now, how can people reach you? You can. What's they everybody listening ain't got it like that. Name some of the people. Look, okay, I'm gonna just put this out there for real because I love my people and I don't want nobody wasting your time. How can they reach you? Okay. And what tax bracket they need to be in in order to retain your services. So ain't nobody wasting your time.
Absolutely.
Some broke people listening.
I know, and I feel so bad because you can reach me.
She do good.
I feel so bad.
I'm telling you, bro.
She's slipping them in there.
You can reach me on through Instagram if you want to just follow me at Rohnesha M. Horne. That's ROHNESHA MHORNE. But you definitely should check out my website, RohneshaHorne.com. On my website, you'll see all the list of services and you'll see the prices are there. So if it's something that you're interested in, please definitely book through the website. I know a lot of people have a question about the consultations. The consultations are, they have a fee associated with them because when I do
time is money.
When I do a consultation, I do give you action steps. And so you need to have a marketing budget before you reach out to me or some idea. I like to tell people they need to have at least $5,000 per month if they want to have an active marketing budget, and that does not include my fee. So that'll give you some kind of hint of where you should be.
The link will be in the description on YouTube for Rohnesha's Instagram, her website, everything like that. $5,000 a month is what you need to have in the bank before you contact her. And that does not include her fee. So you might want to plan on $10,000 a month in the bank because it's 2022. What is it? Yesterday's prices is not
today's
price.
After Nas, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Hey, and real talk. So I like to give out gems and jewels.
Yeah.
As you build your resume, there's nothing wrong with your price following your resume. That is real talk. That yesterday's prices is not today's prices. And if I used to tell people this when I would do consulting, if you're getting 50% of people saying yes to your price, it ain't high enough. Your closing rate should not be 50%, right? Because you could get your closing rate down to 25%, double your price, and make the same amount of money for half the work just by setting your price at the right price point. So that's a jewel for today. So just
and the advice that I'm going to give you is going to make you 3 times as much as you're going to spend.
Exactly. So. And if I can raise my rate and take less clientele, I can give you more of my time and energy. So understand you getting something for that. Rohnesha. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's so much fun.
Okay. Oh, wait. There's one last thing I forgot. I graduated 1.76 GPA. I will post.
You are lying.
I will post my transcript.
That is crazy.
I graduated high school with a 1 point. So you too
can do it.
Can be successful if you just keep trying. I don't recommend that.
No, don't do that, please.
Harder. Please do your homework.
Please do your homework. Absolutely.
Study. And I can tell you, if I'd have had the grades, I'd have had a Division I scholarship. Yeah. It would have been nothing.
And I would have probably been a lawyer.
And honestly, but thank you so much for being here today. That was really insightful. Pulling back the curtain. Yeah. Taking the gloves off a little bit. I didn't expect you to share some of that stuff. Yeah. So that's good. And when you work for yourself now and you don't plan on looking back, you can do that. Yeah. Thank you again so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been
again,
great.
On YouTube, her Instagram and her website will be in the description below. So make sure y'all check that out. Rohnesha Horne, Cleveland's Olivia Pope. doing major things in the marketing, branding, and public relations field. Thank you so much.
Thank you.